Hi there, this is Tony from pianotone.ca, and this is my in-depth review on the much-anticipated new versions of the super popular Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW410 keyboards, the brand new Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW425. Now, the 473 and the 425 are exactly the same as each other with only 4 differences. So while this review was carried out on my brand new PSR-EW425, this review does apply to both keyboards. The E473 has 61 keys, 12 watts of speaker power, and weighs 15.5 pounds, and the 425 has 76 keys, 24 watts of speaker power, weighs 18 pounds, and the 425 also has 11 enhanced organ sounds, and it has a higher quality second piano voice. Other than that, these two boards are identical. So I will continue to outline these differences during the course of the review. So if you follow my channel, you probably know that while I occasionally dabble in the arranger keyboard and non-weighted synth action keys universe, for the most part, I'm a piano player that enjoys playing fully weighted digital pianos, and that I like to play modern music with backing tracks, and I prefer to practice with rhythms as opposed to a metronome. So why was I super excited to buy a Yamaha PSR-EW425 as soon as it was available? Well, you're going to find out in this review, but basically this keyboard is absolutely packed with some amazing features that are right up my alley. But given my focus, while I will go over the basic arranger features and things like the groove creator and arpeggiator, that type of thing, I am going to be focusing this review more on the piano and keyboard player-centric features. These keyboards have a ton of features, so this is going to be a pretty long review. I will have, if you look below in the description, you will see links to different sections of the review, so if you just want to check out one certain feature or something, then you can jump to those sections. And I also do have a much shorter review that was my initial reaction review, which I will also link to below. But if you want to get a real in-depth look at these new keyboards, then grab your favorite beverage and your headphones, and let's check it out. Okay, so the feature summary on the PSR-E473 and EW425. The keys, full-sized organ-style, non-weighted synth action keys with 4 levels of touch sensitivity, so 3 levels and then fixed. And the EW425 has 76 keys, and the E473 has 61. For voices, there's 820 voices. 294 of those are the main ones, the panel voices. Then there's also sound effects, drum kits, and XG Lite voices. And also note that the EW425 has 10 enhanced organ voices and also has one piano voice that's higher quality than the equivalent one on the 473. Other than that, they're exactly the same. For effects, there's 12 types of reverb, there's 5 types of chorus, and 4 types of EQ presets. And for DSP effects, you can actually have two DSP effects running simultaneously on these keyboards. You can have a choice of 41 in the first DSP channel and 12 in the second. There's also 26 types of auto harmony. For connectivity, there's a 1/4-inch headphone input. There's a audio input that's 1/8 inch to stream audio. There's a USB to host, and that supports both MIDI and audio, which is huge. There's a 1/4-inch pedal input for a sustain pedal, or you can also use it for arpeggiating or the auto harmony. There's a USB Type A port for a flash drive, and with that you can load styles, play audio, or save audio, and there's a 1/4-inch mic input with gain. There's a backlit menu screen and very context-sensitive user interface. There's 2 live control knobs where you can use these to assign DSP effects or reverb, chorus, that type of thing for on-the-fly modifications to your sounds. There's 290 rhythm styles with 2 variations of each, optional accompaniment, intros and endings, fills, the ability to mute individual instrument parts, and also 10 slots for loading your custom styles. There's 32 registration memory slots to save custom setups. There's panel buttons for the microphone to mute or turn the effects on or off. There's a metronome, of course. There's quick access octave shift and transpose buttons on the panel. There's split and layer ability, and you can also adjust relative volumes of those voices. There's an arpeggiator with 152 types. There's a song recorder. You can have 10 songs, up to 5 tracks each, plus an accompaniment track. For sampling, there's 4 slots, and you can sample either from an audio input source or from a microphone in. There's a groove creator with 35 grooves and 5 groove sections. There's a one-touch setting for recommended voices and tempos for a chosen style. There's a Mega Boost and motion effect buttons. There's a Super Articulation Light button for compatible voices. And you can run both of these keyboards on batteries. The PSR-EW425 takes 6 D-size batteries. It's mostly because of the bigger speakers. And the PSR-E473 takes 6 AA batteries. And on the note of those speakers, 12 watts of speaker power on the E473, 24 watts on the EW425. And these keyboards are compatible with the Yamaha Rec and Share app for creating quick and easy videos. So just a quick introduction to the user interface on the Yamaha PSR-E473 or PSR-EW425. Very similar to the prior models, except with some really good, well thought out upgrades. So on the left side of the keyboard, you've got your, it's actually out of the range of what you can see right now, but just power button and volume button, so you don't really need to see that. Then to the right of those, you've got a nice big blue super articulation button, which is used to trigger those special voices. It's nice and big and nice and close to the keys, so that's really good for quick access. Then you've got your section here, which is good for controlling your rhythms and accompaniment, or the groove creator. And above that, you've got the sound control. This section is where you can set up splits, layers, harmonies, arpeggiators, the metronome. Your secondary DSP, your primary DSP is actually set through the function menu, but a lot of the voices already have a primary DSP set on them. So that still works just fine. Now you can also see underneath a lot of the buttons on the on this interface. You'll see, for example, DSP2 up here, and then a circled one that says type underneath. For any of the ones that have that circled thing underneath, you can hold down the shift button and then hit that button, and then that's how you can access that. So for example, DSP2, I could hold down shift, and then that's going to say, allow me to select what DSP2 is going to be. Whereas if I was to just choose hit DSP without the shift button, then that's just going to turn the DSP to on or off as a toggle switch, basically. So super intuitive. And above the sound control section, you've got your toggle button for the new mic input, which is fantastic. I'm actually using that right now, and I've got it set to talk. You can see it says mic is on and talk. So if I hit this again, that was actually muted. That's why you couldn't hear it. And now you can see that it's not on talk, and that's why you can hear this reverb, which I will turn off. So now you're back to talk again. Super cool. Motion effect, that's basically to turn the motion effect on. And there's all sorts of different types of motion effects you can choose from. Then you've got the knob assignment, which is to choose one of these different choices to assign what you want the two live control knobs to do. For the most part, a lot of people might use them for the cutoff or resonance, or for the DSP effects. Myself, I typically just use them to control under setting number 2, reverb or chorus. Now, right below those, you've got your buttons for transposing up and down, and this is one of the huge new upgrades to this, which was something I complained about on all sorts of prior Yamaha PSR keyboards, is that to switch octaves, you had to deep dive into the menu, which was really frustrating. Now you've got it right there, up an octave, down an octave, and it shows on the screen where it says octave there. And then you can hold the shift button and then use that to transpose up or down. So super handy. Now the center area down here, this is very similar to the prior models. This is where you can control muting different style parts, which is a great feature on this keyboard, because a lot of the time if I'm using the rhythms and accompaniment, I often just want to hear the bass and the drums. So I will demonstrate that in the when I get to demonstrating the rhythms and accompaniment, but super handy feature. Then you've got your registration memory buttons here, and now this is another huge upgrade to the new interface compared to the prior models. One of the complaints on the prior models was you've got 8 banks, and then you've got 4 areas in each bank. So once you choose your bank, then you would choose the which area you want or which registration you want. But the problem is the bank wasn't displayed on the screen, so you had no idea. Let's say I turned on my Yamaha E473. And then I chose bank 3 and registration memory area 2 or something. And then I start playing. Then because it doesn't say bank 3 up there like it does now, I would have no idea what bank I was in. So now, as you can see, as I scroll through the banks, you'll see that being displayed on the display now. So huge addition. And the left area of the display is kind of similar as it was before, but very, very handy. For example, if I turn on splits, you'll see split comes on. If I turn on dual comes on. If I turn on harmony and arpeggio, that comes on, that type of thing. So very, very, very handy. Now on the right-hand side, you've got, this area has changed actually a fair bit. And basically what it is, before on the prior models, you actually saw the categories displayed. So for the voices and the rhythms, you would see kind of over here just written on the face of the keyboard the different categories, which was to help you scroll through. And then you could punch in numbers on a number keypad, or you could use the dial to select your choices. So on the new models, they've removed the categories from being written out on the keyboard itself. And basically, they've replaced by default the number keypad, which you used to use if you had a voice or style memorized, like 212, and you want to go straight to it, then you could. Instead, now you can navigate through the categories by tapping on them here, and you can see the categories are displayed up here now without the individual voices underneath them. So, for example, if I'm in the piano category, I could tap the piano category to scroll through the different voices. See, this is incrementing one by one as I go through. Or if I wanted to go straight to another category, let's say I wanted to go to guitar and bass, then I can hit that. It'll go to the first one, and then I could either continue to tap or I could use the dial as well. To me, this is a much more efficient way of making selections of voices and that type of thing. I personally never memorized that such and such a voice was voice number 177 and then just went straight through to it with a number pad. So I find this to be a much easier way to navigate. And it works the same with the styles. So if I go to the styles and then I go to, for example, R&B, and then I could scroll through like that type of thing, or I could keep tapping it. Now, keep in mind that if you did like the prior number keypad navigation method instead, you can still return to that by turning on numlock. So you'd hold down the shift button and hit numlock down here, which is the bottom half of the portable grand button. And then you could use this as a number keypad like before. So if you prefer it, that method of navigation is still available. Now the other buttons on this side, this is how you access the Groove Creator, and then that's how you access built-in songs or recorded songs. And then you've got your function menu to get into the function, just like before. And then that's your portable grand button, which will return you to voice number 1, the portable grand. And Mega Boost is basically something that will add, I think they say 6 decibels or something of volume. Now, that only applies to the speakers. It does not apply to the lineouts, and it does not apply to the headphones. So I can't really demonstrate it for you here, unless maybe I'll do that in the speaker video so that you can check that out. And then you've got your quick sampling buttons down here.
The keys. The Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW425 have full-sized organ-style synth-action keys with 4 layers of touch sensitivity: soft, medium, hard, and fixed. The 473 has 61 keys and the 425 has 76. Note that when I say full-sized, it's an octave width of about 160 millimeters, which is considered full-size by most synth-action keyboards, but it's still slightly narrower than the standard 165 millimeter octave width that you're going to find on most fully weighted digital pianos. They're also thinner than a box-shaped style piano key. While the keys are full-size, they are not weighted or semi-weighted, so they're going to feel nothing like the keys on an acoustic piano or a weighted digital piano. I have to say that the keys on my EW425 do feel to be noticeably higher quality than the keys on the E463 that I recently rented for a month before buying my 425. I'm not sure if Yamaha improved the keybed on the new models, or if this is just because my keyboard is brand new or not, but they definitely feel sturdier and of a higher quality to me. On that note, with the 463, I found that when I had touch sensitivity set to normal, I had a lot of trouble controlling my dynamics, but that improved drastically when I set it to hard. But on the EW425, and I think this is because the keys feel a little bit sturdier, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the normal and the hard touch sensitivity, and I haven't quite decided which one's right, but that'll come with time as I spend more time with the keyboard. But the one thing that I do have to say is that while the keys are light, they do have a very consistent and very predictable dynamic to them. So once you get your touch sensitivity set the way that you like it for your playing style, it's really easy to control your dynamics on this keyboard. Okay, the voices. There are a staggering 820 voices on the Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW425. There's 294 panel voices, there's 28 drum or sound effects kits, there's 40 arpeggio, and 458 XG light voices. The panel voices are really the main ones. They're the best quality voices, and included in those panel voices are Yamaha's enhanced live, sweet, and cool voices, as well as 14 super articulation light voices. Each panel category has 20 or more voices, and the categories are piano and electric piano, organ and harmonica, guitar and bass, strings, brass, woodwind, choir and pad, and world voices. Now, while the panel voices are the highest quality ones, the remaining voices included in the XG Lite voices are still pretty good, and they round out a pretty impressive set of sounds. The voices on the PSR-E473 and the PSR-EW425 are exactly the same with the following exceptions. The second piano voice on the EW425 is a higher quality voice. The EW425's second piano voice is a live grand piano, and that's a newer enhanced version of the main piano sound on the prior model, the EW410. On the PSR-E473, its second piano voice is a stereo grand piano, which is an enhanced version of the main piano sound on its prior model, the E463. And the other difference is that the first 10 organ voices on the EW425 are of a higher quality. These enhanced organ voices are sampled from the Yamaha YC series of stage keyboards, and they include key on and key off noise and leakage effects. The voices on the E473 are the same basic samples, but they don't have those extra effects. Now, overall, the voices on these new models are noticeably improved over the E463 and the EW410. Other than the obvious reason of some new higher quality samples being used, there's also been a significant polyphony increase from 48 to 64, and there's some improved processing in play, both of which have improved pretty much all of the existing samples. The main piano sample on both the E473 and the EW425 is the Live Concert Grand, which is nothing short of spectacular for the price range. This voice was first seen on the PSR-E373, which had borrowed it from retired Tyros keyboards, which used to cost in the thousands and thousands of dollars. And this sound is even better on the PSR-E473 and EW425 because of the increased polyphony and updated processing. I really think this voice can compete with samples from some higher quality, higher priced keyboards and digital pianos. I'm actually really looking forward to comparing this piano sample to the main piano on my Casio PXS 3000 digital piano. And in addition to these improved piano tones and high-quality organ voices that are on the 425, and generally improved voices from the increased polyphony, Yamaha has also included 14 super articulation light voices, which have additional samples that can be triggered by pressing the super articulation button. So you can get harmonics or slides on guitars or staccato on flutes, that type of thing. There are clearly way too many voices for me to be sampling in this demo, so I've picked a few of my favorites to demonstrate in the following video, and I will include some of the layered and split voices, as well as some super articulation light voices. Okay, for effects, the Yamaha PSR-E473 and the PSR-EW425 share a very impressive set of effects and DSP functionality. In addition to the basic effects like the 12 types of reverb with 127 depth levels, 5 types of chorus also with 127 depth levels, and 4 types of EQ presets, we've also got a whopping 41 DSP effects to choose from in your main DSP channel, and this is up from 10 on the prior models. And to make this even more impressive, Yamaha's new chip and increased polyphony now allow a second simultaneous DSP effect with up to 12 choices. This is unheard of in this price range. And then to top it all off, there are 26 types of auto harmony that you can also choose from to further fine-tune your sounds. Now, as with the prior models, you have 2 handy live control knobs to which you can use to make on-the-fly adjustments to your cutoff or resonance, reverb chorus, or your DSP effects. And you can also choose to have these knobs affect the main voices or the style. Now, new to the PSR-E473 and EW425 is a motion effect button. This allows you to trigger multiple effects at the same time: filters, pan, reverb, chorus, pitch changes, modulation, etc., and apply them to all of your sounds or just your chosen sounds. So with all of these effects at your disposal, you have a crazy amount of options and combinations to fine-tune your voices to your liking. This type of stuff is really not my specialty at all, but I will try to demo just some of the basic features in the following video.
Okay, so you access the reverb, chorus, and main DSP effect through the function menu. For example, to change reverb, I press function to access the menu, and then I scroll through until I find the reverb setting that I want. So it's going to be reverb for the main voice. Now if I hit enter, you can see it's set to 16. Note that this will be different depending on what voice I have chosen, and this works actually the same for the chorus, pan, delay, etc. Each voice could have these effect settings set differently. For example, the main piano voice has reverb set to 16 by default, and the second piano has the reverb set to 28, that type of thing. So I can edit that in here if I want. So here's the default. And then if I crank it up, tons of reverb, and I can all the way back down, turn it off, and put it back at 16 again. But for me, to be honest, I would tend to use the live control knobs instead of deep diving into the function menu, because that's super easy to do. So I'm going to I've reset the spec to 16, and I'm just going to go back to the voice menu here. Now I'm going to hit the knob assignment button and change it to setting 2, which is to allow this to be reverb and this to be chorus. This is actually the knob assignment that I use pretty much exclusively. So now nothing's going to change until I move the knobs. So if I play that note again, you can see you're hearing it at that 16 level. Now the second I move the knobs, it's going to start adjusting the reverb. Now, the way I think that this works is that the default of 16 gets ignored, and the knob is probably going to be a range of 0 to 127. So with the knob at the halfway point, which it is at right now, it would be 63 or so. So I've got it back at the halfway point. So if I play again, you can hear that's way more than that 16 was. And if I turn it to, if I guess that that's 16-ish, that actually sounds much more like it did by default. So I'm guessing that that's how that works. And then if I crank it up here, you're going to get that 127 again. Okay, for DSP effects. Now, some voices will have DSP1, which is the main DSP channel, applied already to the voice. Now, you don't see anything in the display here for grand piano, so that's not the case for grand piano. But for example, if I go up to suitcase electric piano, you can see DSP1 is displayed. And that's because this voice has a DSP effect by default applied to it. Now you access the DSP effects from the function menu. So if I hit function, and then I scroll through till I see DSP1, that's going to be the main DSP effect. There it is, DSP1 type. And then if I hit enter to that again to modify it, you can see it's got a chorus effect of some sort. So now again, I could choose whatever DSP effect I want by using the dial there to navigate.
So if I'd enter to leave that, now I can also access DSP2 and set it the same way in here, but I could also access DSP2 with the quick access button. I can turn it on or off by tapping that, or I could have accessed exactly where I am right now in the menu by just holding down Shift and then hitting that button. It is kind of a shame. I'm not sure why Yamaha just didn't add a DSP1 button as well and have it work exactly the same way, just to save you having to go into the menu, but can't have everything. So I'm going to add, you can see there is no DSP2 effect on this electric piano by default. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to add a rotary to it. Now, you still don't hear a rotary, and that's because I haven't toggled DSP2 on. So as soon as I turn DSP2 on, you can see it shows up in the menu now. And then you can hear the rotary. So now that I have my DSP effects chosen, if I wanted to, I can move the knob assignment to DSP, the DSP selection, which is number 3, and then can have live control over my DSP effects using the live control knobs. Now for the motion effect button, this is a new effect, and it's basically a whole bunch of effects, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because it's actually, there's tons of examples to talk about. But the first thing that's going to apply to this, if I hold down Shift and hit Motion Effect, basically what you can do is scroll through, and this is going to apply whatever motion effect, so A04, and you have to look this up in the manual to see what that actually is, because it's a combination of a whole bunch of different effects. But it's going to apply it to everything. That's why it says all there. And as I scroll through, this is going to apply it to keyboard sample 1. These choices are going to apply it to just the keyboard. And then these choices are going to apply it to sampling. So there's like a crazy number of options in here. That's going to apply it to your style or the groove creator. And then to trigger it, once you've chosen which one you want and when you're choosing that, that also says what it's going to apply to. Then you can trigger it by holding down the button while you're playing.
Rhythms and accompaniment. The PSR-E473 and the PSR-EW425 have 290 rhythms, which is up from 235 on the prior models, from a wide variety of genres. There are 2 variations of each, with optional sync start, intros, endings, fills, as well as optional accompaniment, which includes backing bass and a rhythm section. Because I'm not a specialist in arranger keyboards, I can't really say if Yamaha made any significant changes to the actual existing rhythms and accompaniment on these new models, but what I can say is that the rhythms and accompaniment should sound better given the increase in polyphony and updated processing, not to mention the huge array of effects that you can apply to your sounds. And given the increase in polyphony, the chance of notes dropping off because of the rhythms and accompaniment using up too much polyphony is significantly reduced. A couple of awesome features with the rhythms and accompaniment that are brought forward from the prior models. First, you can adjust the rhythm and accompaniment volume if you want to adjust it relative to the main voice that you're using, which is awesome. But an absolutely huge feature is the ability to mute various parts of the accompaniment. This is great for me because sometimes I just want to use the drums or just the drums and the bass. But you can pick and choose what you want to include. So even if you are not interested in the arranger features, having a wide selection of drum styles to play along with is never a bad thing. And it's way more fun and engaging for practicing than using a metronome. Now for triggering the auto accompaniment, most entry-level arranger keyboards will have multiple chord modes for choosing what chords the accompaniment should be playing. The Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW425 actually have less choices than most arrangers do, with only 2 choices available. One is multi-finger, which is kind of a standard, where you simply finger full chords in your left hand. And new with these models is the addition of Yamaha's Smart Chord mode. This is basically a shortcut mode where you specify the key a song is in, and then you can trigger diatonic chords using a single finger. For example, if you choose the key of C and press the D key, you're going to get a D minor chord. This is an area where Yamaha has always been curiously lacking in, and the one feature that I would absolutely love to have seen in these keyboards is full keyboard chord detection mode, which is perfect for piano players because with this mode, the keyboard uses the entire range of all of the keys to detect what chords you're playing, and this allows you to actually hear what you're playing in your left hand. If having multiple chord detection modes is something that's important to you, you might want to look towards alternatives from Casio or Korg, which have 5 or even more chord detection modes. But all that aside, there's tons of useful rhythms available, and I was able to find usable rhythms for straight beats, syncopated beats, as well as shuffle rhythms, and some really useful 3/4 or 6/8 time signature rhythms. I'm pretty much a rock, pop, blues player, so I didn't investigate many of the other styles or the ethnic beat options, but there are quite a few choices for those here as well. So here's a super quick video just showing the basics of the auto accompaniment, including how to use sync start, fills, and style variations.
So just a quick demo on how to use the rhythms and accompaniment on the Yamaha PSR-EW425 or PSR-E473. Before I start doing that, though, I want to confirm what fingering mode I have chosen. This keyboard has two choices. There's full chord, where you finger the full chord in your left hand to trigger accompaniment, or there's smart chord, which is Yamaha's shortcut way of fingering chords, which is basically you specify the key signature by specifying the number of sharps and flats. Then you can just use a single finger in your left hand to trigger, for the most part, the diatonic chords in that particular key signature. So to do that, to check this, I'm going to hit the function button to go into the function menu. Then I'm going to scroll till I get to fingering type, and I'll hit enter. And it is set to multi-finger. I think when you actually take the keyboard out of the box, it's set to smart chord. And I am going to demonstrate the smart chord feature in a bit, but I just wanted to make sure that that was set to multi-finger. So then I'll hit enter just to leave that. Then I'll go back. Now to choose a style, I hit the style button. And the style categories are displayed just like the voice categories are. So I can go to swing and jazz or rock. I'm kind of a 60s guy, so I'm going to go to 60s rock. I'll use that one. Now right now, accompaniment is turned off. You can see that there's no accompaniment indicator on the display. So if I turn accompaniment on, now you can see ACMP shows up there. So that means accompaniment is turned on. So if I turn that off and I hit start to start the rhythm, you can hear that I've just got the drums. And if I play in my left hand, you're going to actually just hear my default voice. But if I turn accompaniment on and hit start again, if I finger a C chord, so you can see as I finger different chords, it's following that up here. Now I can turn on and off different style parts. Let's say this is a little too busy for me. Now I'm back to just the drums. I often just play with just the drums and the bass. And if I turn all these back on again, now you can see when I press pad, that's not lit up, and that's because there is no pad on this particular rhythm style. So that's actually quite helpful. It tells you what different backing parts are available to you. I'm going to hit stop there. So now you can also do all of the standard things like intros, sync start, that type of stuff. So if I hit an intro and then I hit sync start, it's going to start flashing saying that it's waiting for me, and it's going to go into part B. Let's say I wanted it to go into part A. I can just hit the main autofill button, which is how you switch between the two parts. So now if I finger a C chord, because sync start is on, it's going to start and it's going to play the intro. And you can see it's counting down, so you know how long the intro is going to be. Also helpful. Now I'm into the main part. Switch to the part B, and it'll throw a fill in. So that's all pretty straightforward. And to adjust the tempo, you just hit the tempo button, and then the tempo is displayed up here, so you can adjust that. I should also mention that you can set the split point as far as what keys are going to be used for accompaniment. You can see it's this key here. F sharp is the last one that is being used to be included in the in triggering accompaniment, and then I'm into my main voice here. So to set that, I go into the function menu, and I look for split point. I think I went the wrong way. Hit enter. It's going to show on the keyboard where it is. So right now it shows it that it's that F sharp. So if I wanted to, I could move that up to the G. And now that one's included. So depending on how you happen to like playing and how far up you like to use your left hand for triggering chords, you can modify that as you like. Now, just to show you how the smart chord feature works, I'm going to go into the function menu again, and I'm going to look for the fingering type. I'm going to set that back to smart chord, so I'll hit enter, and I'm going to go to smart chord. And now I need to set the smart chord key. So right now, if I hit enter, you're going to see it says SP0. What that basically means is there's 0 sharps and flats. So that's going to be the key of C. So for example, if I hold down just a C key, I'm getting a C major chord. If I hold down a D key, I'm going to get a D minor. It gives me an E major and an F. Oh, I'm at the split point here. I'll go down to this G. It gives you a G7 for the fifth chord. I'm not sure why it does that by default, but it does, as opposed to a G major. I'm also actually not quite sure why it's giving me an E major instead of a E minor, because the diatonic chord for the key of C, to me, is E minor. But anyway, these are chords that are going to work in that key signature. So for example, if I change this to have 1 sharp, that's going to be the key of G. So if I hit enter, so now, if I press a G, I'm going to get a G major. A should give me an A minor. B is going to give me a B major. C is going to give me a C major. D, which is the 5th, gives me that 7th again. E gives me an E minor. And then when I go up to F sharp, it's going to give me a diminished, which is, it shows up as F sharp minor 7th flat 5. But that's basically F diminished. So that's how the smart chord feature works, is you have to specify the key signature first. So if you're going to do that and use it a fair bit, you're probably going to want to program those song by song into your registration memory so that you know which, you don't have to go through all of that work to specify it before you play your song. So if I hit start again, there's the G chord, C chord, G chord. So now I'm just using one finger. E7. So that's basically how the smart chord feature works.
Okay, registrations. The Yamaha PSR-E473 and the PSR-EW425 have the ability to save up to 32 registrations where you can save your current settings, like your voice, style, tempo, effects, that type of thing, for a quick and easy recall. There are 8 banks available with 4 registrations in each. You select the bank first by pressing the bank button repeatedly to choose your bank, and then you can save or recall your registrations using registration buttons 1 to 4. While Yamaha didn't increase the number of registrations from the prior models, one huge upgrade from the prior versions was the addition of the current bank number that you're using to the display. This was a huge omission from the prior models because with those you had to actually remember what bank you happened to be on. Here's a quick video on saving and recalling registrations.
Okay, so working with the registration memory slots on the Yamaha PSR-E473 or EW425 is extremely simple. The functionality really hasn't changed from the prior models, with the exception of a huge improvement, and that is that the bank that you're working with is now displayed on the screen. On the prior models it wasn't, which could be really confusing and really frustrating. But hopefully you can see this on the screen as I press the bank button over and over. It's going to be cycling through banks 1 to 8. And then once you choose the bank that you want, then you've got, within each of those banks, these 4 registration memory slots where you can have things stored. So to recall one, all you do is choose your bank and then hit the correct slot, and all of your settings will be loaded. So let's save something into a registration memory slot. You can see I'm on grand piano. I'm just going to switch my voice to, let's go tiny EP. Style, I'm on 80s guitar pop. Let's switch that to 16 beat. I'm going to go over and turn on the accompaniment. So you can see the accompany button has just lit up. I'm going to change the tempo from 100 down to So 46. Then I'm going to turn on Sync Start. So you can see Sync Start is starting to flash. And then let's save that into a registration memory bank. So I'm going to go to bank number 8, and I'm going to save this in bank 8.1. So I hold down bank and hit 1. And it says memory OK, so that's been saved. I'm going to go back and return to my portable grand voice. Style, I'm going to go back to style number 1 where I was. Tempo, you can see, is back up to 117 because I switched the style. And accompaniment is turned off. Now, if I want to load that style, if I want to load that registration, I'm still on bank number 8. So now I just hit number 1, and that loads registration number 1. So you can see I'm on that 16 beat up with a very low tempo. I'm on tiny EP. But you can see that, and you can also see that accompaniment is on, but you can see that Sync Start didn't save. So that doesn't actually save with your registration, but all the other settings do. So super, super simple to use.
Okay, connectivity. Out of all the digital pianos and keyboards I have owned or rented and reviewed, the connectivity options on the PSR-E473 and the PSR-EW425 are by far the most full-featured and are definitely my favorites. There's a 1/4-inch port for a sustain pedal. You can also use this as an arpeggio or as a sustain pedal and hold the arpeggio. There's a 1/4-inch headphone port. It is on the back. I wish it was on the front, but not the end of the world. There's a 1/8-inch audio in, so you can connect an external sound source like an iPad or something to play along with YouTube or apps like Jam Zone. One thing I would like to mention here that I've noticed on every other Yamaha keyboard I have owned or rented or tested, as opposed to every other Casio that I've owned or tested, on a lot of the Casio keyboards, including my CTS-1, which I do love, the audio in volume isn't balanced well with the keyboard volume. If you turn up the external device to get it loud enough to match the keyboard, it often distorts. This has never been an issue with any Yamaha keyboard, and it's not an issue with my PSR-EW425. It never distorts. There are 2 1/4-inch proper line-out ports for connecting to external audio equipment or amplification, PAs, that type of thing. While the prior version of the EW425, the EW410, it did have proper line-out ports, the E463 did not, so the addition of these ports to the PSR-E473 is a huge upgrade. There's also a USB Type A port for connecting a flash drive, which you can use to play back WAV files and play along with them. You can also use it to save high-quality direct audio as in WAV file format directly to the flash drive. So then you can just pop the flash drive out, put it in your computer, and import it into some other software. You can also use the flash drive to load custom styles into empty user style slots. Now on to 2 huge features on these keyboards that were big selling points for me. The first huge feature on the Yamaha PSR-E473 and the EW425 is that they both have an audio interface built into the USB to host port. So on most keyboards, this port is used to only transmit MIDI data, which is the data of what you play, not the actual sound of your keyboard. That gets sent to a PC or an iPad so that you can then work with that MIDI data in recording software using the sounds built into the software, not the actual sounds from your keyboard. But with the built-in audio interface, you can not only transmit MIDI data, but you can also transmit the actual audio data, which is the sound of your keyboard, in both directions using this port. The benefits of this are huge. This allows you to record audio without the need for an external audio interface device. You can connect your keyboard directly to your device and then send high-quality audio directly to your device's app or software. And this is not just easier, but it also gives you a much better quality audio signal because it skips a round of processing done by your external audio interface. You can also use this connection as an audio in as another option to stream audio from your device to your piano so that you hear that audio through your speakers or headphones as an alternative to using the audio in port. The second huge feature that tipped the scales for me in buying one of these keyboards is the 1/4-inch mic input with gain, volume control, effects, and a panel button. This is a massive feature for me for the following reasons. I could perform at a small venue or busk or something with just the keyboard and a mic. Since my EW425 can run on batteries and it's got 24 watts of speaker power, I could perform without needing any external mixers or any bulky audio cables.
And even if I am using external amplification like a house PA system or my battery-operated Bose S1 Pro PA, I have direct control of my mic right in front of me on the keyboard, and this also frees up an input on my Bose PA system for other musicians that might be playing along with me. And with the addition of a mic input combined with that built-in audio interface, I can now make high-quality piano videos that include vocals without needing an external audio interface box or any of those bulky audio cables. There's a gain knob on the back, and you also have additional volume control in the function menu. And to make this feature even better, Yamaha added a very well thought out toggle button on the panel that allows you to mute or enable the mic, and also to choose whether or not you want to have effects on for singing or effects off for talking. This is really an awesome feature because as far as the muting goes, for example, if your mic has a on and off switch and you use that to turn the mic on and off, it'll often make a loud noise in the PA system. So having that little toggle button right on the keyboard is really, really handy. So the Yamaha Rec and Share app, the free Yamaha Rec and Share app, takes advantage of the built-in audio interface on newer Yamaha keyboards, including the PSR-E473 and the 425, and makes it super easy for you to make high-quality videos that you can then easily upload to YouTube or social media sites. And you can do all of that with just one USB cable and a few clicks. And with the addition of the mic input, you can now include vocals in those videos. I will be making...
Okay, so just a quick video on a couple of features on the Yamaha PSR-E473 and EW425 that I'm personally not quite likely to use very much, but they are pretty cool if you're into this kind of thing. One of them is the quick sampling, where you can sample either from the microphone or from an audio input source and store your sample of any like audio, like a dog barking or something if you want, or you talking, into one of these 4 buttons to trigger while you play. And the other feature is the groove creator, where you can basically choose from 35 different grooves, and then you basically go through different sections of each groove using the buttons over here in the rhythm section to build towards a musical climax. And you can play the keyboard at the same time. So let's, I'm going to try and demonstrate both of those together. So first I'm going to grab a sample of my voice. Now for me to do that, I'm going to be hitting the capture button. Then it's going to put me into quick sampling mode, and then it's going to ask me which one of these to sample with. So I'll press that, and then I do need to actually, I want to put my effects back on my microphone. Right now I'm in the talk mode, and I have to do that before I enter the quick capture mode. So you will hear some reverb as I'm explaining the next steps. So now I've got the reverb on. I'm going to go into capture. It puts me into quick sampling mode. Going to ask me to choose a slot, so I'll press slot A, and then it's going to say start, and then I hit it again to start, and then I'll be hitting it again to finish. Piano tone. Now you can see that it says it's writing. So now I have to exit quick sampling mode by pressing capture again, and then now I can turn the reverb back off. So now if I press this button, piano just plays it for a second if I don't hold it. Piano tone. Or I can hold it down and do that. And I can also loop it if I hold this button and then press the sample. Piano tone. You can see the light stays on, tone. And it keeps on going tone until I hit it again to turn that off. And the keyboard does come with some built-in samples as well.
Sounds like I am losing my mind. Oh, 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 oh.
Okay, so onto the Groove Creator. To hit the Groove Creator, just press Groove Creator up here. Very, very simple. And you can choose from any of these different grooves. I'm going to choose, I don't know, let's go Eurodance number 1. Notice that the sync start is always on when you're in Groove Creator mode. So you're going to be triggering different chords, or you can just stay on the same chord by hitting a key to start it, and it's going to start on the section A. So you can see the sections are labeled A, B, C, and D up to the musical climax here, and then you can hit stop to stop it. Okay, so one thing to mention is that I did have to actually adjust the relative volumes pretty significantly, and maybe it's just this Eurodance 1 happens to be really loud, I'm not quite sure.
but I had to turn the Groove Creator volume down, which is just in the function menu, from like 100 to maybe 35 or 40, and then I had to maximize the mic volume. So not sure if it's just this particular groove or whatever, but you might need to do that. But the nice thing on this keyboard is you can adjust the relative volumes of anything. So super, super handy. So we've got the sync start on. So if I press a C key, then the groove's going to start in section number A. And I could be playing the keyboard if I wanted to. Or I could be triggering my sample. Piano tone. Piano tone. Then I move from each one of these different sections is going to basically get a little bit busier, a little more instruments, a little more energy as you go towards the musical climax. So I'm in section B. Section C. Sounds like it has a little break in it. Section D. And I could be changing chords too. A little bit of 12-bar blues dancing. Piano tone. Piano tone. I'll go to the musical climax before I end up here all day. Piano tone, piano tone. I could listen to that all day. Piano tone.
Okay, the other features. Recording. You can record up to 10 songs with 6 tracks each, or 5 tracks of your own, plus 1 track saved for the accompaniment. There's no real fancy features in here like punching in or punching out, so basically you have to record each track live and perfectly from start to finish. I might make a video at a later stage on using this feature, but I'm not going to bother demonstrating it in this video. With all the awesome DAW apps out there for recording songs that have nice, big, easy-to-use graphical user interfaces, copy and paste, that type of thing. Onboard recording, in my opinion, is pretty much becoming a thing of the past, especially when editing is limited. And with a built-in audio interface that can send audio or MIDI directly to your DAW software on your device, and the added feature of being able to quickly and easily record high-quality audio directly to a flash drive, these keyboards already have fantastic and much more useful recording functionality. Portability. One of the benefits of buying a keyboard that doesn't have fully or semi-weighted keys is portability. The PSR-E473 only weighs 15.5 pounds, and my 76-key PSR-EW425 weighs 18 pounds. Most digital pianos are going to be 25 to 30 pounds. So both of these keyboards are shorter in width than an 88-key piano, although they are deeper, actually, than most digital pianos. But they're still pretty light and easy to move around. They are still heavier and bulkier, however, than entry-level keyboards like the PSR-E373 or Casio tone keyboards, which only weigh around 10 pounds, so I would still recommend a double brace X stand. But in comparison to a weighted key digital piano, these boards are great for a pianist looking for a portable option. Speakers. The speakers on the Yamaha PSR-E473 are 12 watts total, so 6 per side, so they're a big step up on the PSR-E373 or any of the new Casio tone CTS series like the 300, 400, 500 or the CTS-1, all of which are only 5 watts total. The PSR-EW425 actually takes that up a big notch further with an impressive 24 watts of speaker power. That's actually probably enough to perform in a small venue or busking, and the speakers sound really clear. Yamaha speakers are always pretty good quality, and they project really, really well. Here's a quick video of how the speakers sound on my PSR-EW425 just as being picked up by the built-in mic on my iPhone.
Okay, so the other choices, the Korg EK50. The Korg EK50 is a fantastic arranger keyboard that I did a preliminary review on. I'll link to that below. It's got good quality sounds that would be comparable to the PSR-E473 or the EW410. But the sound quality on the new PSR-E473 and EW425 are definitely a step up from the Korg. The Korg does have good speakers at 20 watts, and it's got left and right line out ports, as well as the best user interface on any keyboard or piano I have ever seen. It also has a very unique way of implementing voices. They're set up as keyboard sets. Basically, Korg has done a lot of work for you by setting up groups of 4 voices, 3 upper and 1 lower, that sound good together. And then you've got quick access buttons to turn those different layers on and off as you want to while you play. But the Korg doesn't have a built-in audio interface, and it doesn't have a mic input. So while it's a worthy competitor for the E463, the new Yamaha PSRs really do outshine the Korg. The Casio Tone CTS 500. This is a new arranger keyboard from Casio, released in 2022. I haven't actually seen one of these yet, but it would be worth taking a look at. It has the same key bed as my CTS-1, which is almost a semi-weighted feel, so it will feel heavier than the Yamaha. It also has tons of voices and effects and live control knobs. It's got more chord detection modes, if that's important to you. It's got really good piano voices, and it also has left and right line outs. It's also probably going to be a bit more portable. It's much lighter, and it's quite a bit smaller in dimensions. But there's quite a few areas where both the PSR-E473 and the EW425 outshine the Casio Tone. That's in the ability to mute style parts, a built-in audio interface, and I don't understand why Casio still hasn't started including that feature in their keyboards. And there's also significantly more speaker power at 12 or 24 watts as opposed to only 5. And you've also got the mic input with gain and effects. To be honest, in my opinion, the only reason to consider the Casio Tone instead of these new Yamahas would be if the chord detection modes, heavier action, or the slightly better portability was super important to you. So the Yamaha PSR-E463 and EW410. What about the prior versions? With the release of the new versions, you might be able to find the prior models at a discount. That's something to consider, but keep in mind what these new models have to offer, because it's significant. More polyphony and upgraded processing, significantly higher quality voices. Left and right line out ports are now on the PSR-E473. The 463 did not have those. The mic input with gain and effects, sturdier feeling action, and an improved user interface and navigation. Personally, a lot of these new features are super important to me, so I don't think I would consider one of the older models for myself just to save some money. But if these features aren't super important to you, then these might be a good option if you can find one at a discount. Okay, the Yamaha DGX670 and the Casio PXS-3000 digital pianos. This is not at all really fair to compare these to the PSR-E473 or 425 because these pianos cost about twice what the PSR-E473 does. But I did want to mention them because these two pianos are the only products I know of that even come close to matching the feature set on the PSR-E473 and the EW425. The Yamaha DGX670 digital piano, which is an amazing product, has an amazing user interface, full color screen, extremely high quality sounds, tons of polyphony, a great fully weighted action, and it does actually have a mic input, but it weighs a whopping 50 pounds, doesn't run on batteries, doesn't have left and right line out ports, so that's not really going to be a portable gigging option. And the Casio PXS-3000, this product actually probably comes a bit closer to matching the PSR features since it does have the left and right line outs and it is pretty light at 24 pounds. It does have great action and great sounds, and it does run on batteries, but the Casio doesn't have a built-in audio interface, and it doesn't have that mic input port. And while the user interface is good on the Casio PXS-3000, the Yamaha PSR ones is quite a bit better with a much bigger screen displaying more information, and it has more dedicated buttons. Okay, so the verdict on the Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW425. Verdict on these keyboards is easy. Absolutely fantastic. In my opinion, if having fully weighted keys isn't super important to you, then the Yamaha PSR-E473 and EW425 are hands down the two best value keyboards on the market today. Other than not having weighted keys, these two keyboards include pretty much every other feature I can even think of. And then they add an extra one like the mic input with the gain and the effects. Great quality and selection of sounds, especially piano, electric piano, and organ. Great user interface. It's got a menu screen, lots of buttons, including quick access buttons for important things like octave shifting and transposing, splitting and layering. So you don't have to memorize key combinations or refer to a manual or depend on an app. Decent action, but most importantly, with consistent and predictable dynamic control. Registrations to save common settings and or setups for your repertoire. Left and right line out ports, which is important for recording and performing, and also allows the speakers to be enabled as monitors if you're connected to external amplification. Decent speakers. The EW425 has 24 watts, which is amazing, and the 12 watts on the E473 is still more than double what you get on the comparably priced Casio Tone products. A good selection of rhythms and accompaniment. Definitely something I like to have for practicing, but possibly also usable for performances or even for making my own backing tracks. Decent portability, not too heavy, and the ability to run on batteries. Audio in options for streaming and backing tracks that have well-balanced and configurable volume levels. These two keyboards actually have two options, the audio in port, or you can play backing tracks from a flash drive. A built-in audio interface for easily recording piano videos with high-quality audio or to send high-quality audio to a device directly without needing an external audio interface. The ability to record high-quality audio direct to a flash drive so you can easily just pop it out and transfer it to a PC for some kind of editing. Well, these two keyboards from Yamaha are the only keyboards or digital pianos that I am aware of that have all of these features. And they do that for $370 for 61 keys or $490 for 76 keys. And on top of that, they even add that additional super useful feature of a mic input with gain and effects. So I can definitely recommend the Yamaha PSR-E473 and PSR-EW425 keyboards as long as you're okay without weighted keys. As I said before, in my opinion, these are the best value keyboards on the market today. I spent the extra $120 on the 76 key version because I wanted to get the extra keys, and I also wanted to get the bigger speakers, and that was worth it for me. But to be honest, with the new onboard octave shift buttons, the 61 key E473 would have been awesome as well. If you'd like to check current prices for the Yamaha PSR-E473 or the PSR-EW425 or any of the other keyboards I mentioned here, please click my appropriate affiliate links below to check that out. I've also included a link to a good generic sustain pedal that has a polarity switch. So thanks a bunch for stopping by, checking out this video, and happy piano and keyboard playing and happy piano and keyboard shopping. Have an awesome day.